Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. We're on episode 370. We're on day 2 of the Fruit in Small Victories. We have 5 sets of pencils to go through today. Before we move on to the new row, somebody pointed out that I had missed a leaf on the orange yesterday, which was the Castle Arts Metallics. So let's get these last 2 leaves colored in. I actually did not like sitting in the zero grav chair yesterday, so I am sitting up again today. I might have to try. I do find that my favorite spots and locations to color does change, so tomorrow I might try the recliner. We'll just see how that goes. But I have recovered from my calf muscle injury. Not really sure what happened there. It was either a very bad pull or a very mild tear. So I am back to my exercise routine. I'm looking at these 5 fruit, by the way, and they look really rough. But our idea was very few colors, very fast. So I have to keep myself doing the same type of coloring and not overthink it. So there are the 2 missing leaves, and then the orange is done. I will put these away. The first set that we are going to work with today is Crayola. Crayola has no numbers. They're a thin diameter pencil. And let's see if I can move this. There we go. And we are doing blackberries. Here's our colors. I have to rotate so we can read. The numbers that you see were put on by me. I had some shipping label sheets, and I printed out the numbers. I do have some extras printed out 1 to 100. I might have even printed some 1 to 120s in the off chance that I need them. So we have royal purple. We have slightly difficult to read. I would rather have it be a little bit bigger font. Because it's so bold and they went with a glossy gold, it's really challenging. I have to just rotate to hit it just right. Plum, palm leaf, yellow green, and forest green. All right, so my strategy. I want these grapes to look rounded. So starting with the lighter color, I am going to leave a circular center space for the shine from my light source. These are a dry. On the copy paper, they were way noisier. I even wrote down scratchy noisy, and on this smooth Johanna Basford paper, they actually are pretty nice. And I think that was the shock for me when I had another page way back in the book that was all 30 pencils, and at the time I think I only had like 28, and then the 29th set was some metallics, and this was the 30th set. I had not ever used them and didn't intend to use these in this book, because I'd had such poor luck coloring with them. They just weren't for me. I'm light-handed, and they are fairly light. You can see they're going down really light. But in this book, they actually perform decent. They are somewhat a light layering. You can keep working at them and get more payout if you put a little extra time in. This is the lighter of the 2 colors of purple. Going to switch to the darker, which is plum. And then I believe what I'm going to do is kind of go like really dig into the nooks, the shadow areas. And I think you will be pleasantly surprised at the end result. Every time I use these in this book, remember I already did the mock-up and I used them on the copy paper and they were pretty darn awful. However, I am liking them in this book. I'm just doing very dark. I want to give everything the appearance of rounded. So I went diagonal this way, not really consistent diagonal this way, and now I'm going like a cross. And that should fill them in nicely, and then if I wanted to, but we're trying to go quick today. To get through 5 sets of pencils for me in 45 minutes means oops, and that's the wrong color. I need the light purple. The lighter purple is royal purple. See how the royal purple is a warmer, like a violetish color? So in our household, we had a very crazy, unusual thing happen yesterday. For us, I am in the marriage of my husband and I have always been the one that competed in showing horses, and have won a lot of things with horses, gone to year-end awards, came home with all sorts of prizes and prize earnings and trophies and all that stuff over all the years. Well, Hub has been very involved in volunteering on the trail since we've moved here. So that's the end of the light, and now I'm going to get some shadowing going on this smaller grape or blackberry. So I got a phone call maybe a month ago from one of the neighbors that wanted to make sure that Scott wasn't around because they had something to tell me. In fact, they wanted to come tell me in person. And I said, "Oh no, you can tell me. He doesn't have any idea I'm on the phone." So I just closed the bedroom door, and she says, we have a program here every year for nominating a volunteer to earn the Volunteer of the Year award." And I said, "Yes, I know about that." And she says, "Scott has won it." And I said, "Oh, you mean somebody nominated him?" She says, "No, he won it." And I went, "Oh no." And she says, "I know your husband is really private." And I said, "Yeah." So I was tasked with trying to get together images of him for a slideshow presentation without his knowledge, and somehow also get his blessing so he wouldn't be angry, because he is so private and personal that I ended up, to make it work, there was no way I was going to get him to go to the presentation, which is at the annual homeowners meeting. It was yesterday. So I ended up having to, well, first off, I didn't have any baby pictures of him. And so I had to recruit his sister to go drum some up. And then I had to write about his history, so I kept it to his outdoor adventuring and, working with, doing the maintenance on the trail and that kind of thing is what I focused on. Oh, and then I had to confess to him what was going on. It was really, really stressful to try to do something really sneaky. I am not a sneaky person. I'm going with the darkest green, which the green tones, I only have the 100 set of the Crayolas, so I lack the very dark green. This is the darkest that I could come up with. So I recommend with these, if you are working with them, or you have them and you haven't had a lot of good luck, make your point really sharp. I think you'll be happier with what you get out of it if you keep your tip sharp, and they do stay sharpened nicely to a point. So after I told my husband what was going on and that was why I was kind of doing stuff sneaky like, we sit right next to each other. So we are separated by this glass door, but we still are right next to each other. So it was very, very challenging. I had him read what I wrote. He actually approved it and even added a sentence, which was great. Proved some photography and helped pick from, his sister had given us some additional photos, so he helped pick from those. And yesterday was the presentation, and I got a call. We were heading there, and one of the presenters, there were a couple of people presenting this, and he's like, you need to get Scott, my husband, here right now for something special happening in the manor. And I said, I know, we are in the parking lot, we'll be there momentarily. And hub, everybody, it was over 500 people. And then at the end, I told him, after it was all over, and he did get his award, which was a lovely plaque, I reminded him that this is televised. So even though the room was packed with 500 people, we have like 3,000 people living here, and we have our own community channel on cable. I said, so I got a bunch of texts from neighbors and friends saying that they saw the award presentation on the television when they were watching the meeting, and then when we left, so many people were shaking his hand and congratulating him, and it took us forever to get out to the parking lot. So there we go. We've got some blackberries done. So my husband, I said, hey, have you ever actually received an award like that before? And he says, I was the student of the month once in grade school. So this was way outside of his element. All right, so I thought that these did a fine job. And again, my wording that I wrote was scratchy, and that was on the copy paper, and they were actually better, way better on this Basford paper. Okay, so moving on to our second set, which is going to be completely different. We've got an apple, and this apple is going to be a red and green apple. My colors are, so this is Evazar, which again are pencils you can't get in the US right now. You can get the small set of them, but not the large. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. So we've got pale pink, lava red, green gold, pistachio, and seaweed green. So green gold is my kind of my odd color that I tried to pick to give it a little more realism, because all of these colors were very vibrant. So I took out a different green than I had and popped in this green gold to help me give a more realistic image coloring going, because they're, it's so primary color looking. And these, the word I wrote was not just the word soft, very underlined soft. They are so soft that I just have to barely touch the paper to the pencil to the paper. So I'm going to start. This is probably one of the most detailed of the images, and the type of apple that I am trying to go for here is like a honey crisp apple, which is our favorite apple, and they are green and red combined. So we've got some shadow lines. I'm going to be coloring in the direction that those lines are, because they actually are somewhat how apples coloring goes. I'm going to use this kind of greenish gold as we go here. So it was an awfully stressful day yesterday. Hub kept sighing. He didn't want to be in that room. It was melting with all those people. It was a warm day. He runs hot anyway. The chairs weren't the most comfortable, although my parents were there too, and they ended up in the very back in plastic or the regular old like card table folding chairs. At least we did sit. I sat him up closer, so it would be quicker to get him to come forward to get the plaque they awarded him. All right, so that's the rough in. I even have this pink that is just to do the pink petals. I don't even know what, I know that apple blossoms can be white or pink. They might even have more color options than white or pink. And then today's big lucky experience was going back to the vet and having his first vaccination. And he is very small for his age. I think he, you never know what the history is. This is a person who claimed they were not a breeder, but they had 2 purebred champion bloodline Russian blue cats. So I just don't even know what to believe about that. I am just feeling very blessed that we were able to give Lucky a home. And he has doubled his weight since we've had him. But they still say he's quite small. So there's some things that he needs to have done, but not till he's heavier. I think he needs to do some stuff when he weighs 6 pounds. And same with having him neutered can't happen till he is heavier. So we've got those things kind of scheduled out into the future. And he did really, really good for the vet. He had to get his vaccination, so it was like a vet tech, and we were in a different room, and I tricked him a little bit. I don't want him to feel like every time he goes someplace like to the vet that he is going to be hurt. And of course the first 2 times he went, he cried when they gave him an injection, and then they took his temperature and did a stool sample, so they didn't have to do any of that. I asked them to weigh him, which is really a painless thing to have done. So we took him out of the crate and weighed his carrier. We weighed him. I put him back in the carrier. And then they got because I knew he was going to get the injection, so that was likely going to hurt. And the 2 gals who did it did a fantastic job. And he did not even cry when they did it. I was so happy because he cried the first time they did stuff to him. But he had only been with me 3 days. He didn't really know who I was. He was going through all sorts of changes. He was very sick. So I'm so happy he had a pleasant experience. In fact, he is right behind me on the floor in the carrier. He does really like his carrier. My mom went, so Grandma came, and she played with him. So that the carrier, he doesn't ever have it closed on him until he goes to sleep when we're finished with our whatever journeys. We've taken him quite a few times out, and he gets sleepy in the car, and then we just close the lid and let him sleep. So he did that. He was a little bit naughty, played hard with her one time, and I told her that to just close the top when he does that. He is very tiny, so I can't wait to see. He's probably going to end up being super big, like the runts usually do. They end up growing into beautiful big kitties in the end. Okay, so taking a long time trying to get our apple looking real. So these colors, very, very super buttery, very, very soft. You can tell they are wax. So I've ended up adding 4 of the 5 colors. I've added a little bit of the dark green for interest. You can see little streaks of the darker green. A little bit of that gold green is the kind of yellow apple look. And we need to move on. I'm actually spending too much time on this. I do even have this bright green. All sorts of colors. They crumble. I see some crumbs forming. I want to get some shadow, but I don't have any true shadow colors, so I'm just going to go for dark red. And I want the apple to look rounded, so around the very outside edges will be the darkest. And then we have these lines, so I'm going to make that super dark. Everywhere there's lines, my little hints. All right, that is it for the apple. I've already done the pink petals. Oh, and you got blurry. I do have my brush. I knew that I was going to need the brush. This would be yellow, but I didn't have a slot since I'm doing 5 colors per. So there we go. A little bit of pink, a little bit of the green gold. I've got 2 green colors now for the leaves. Going to start with the dark. The dark green is seaweed green. In fact, after yesterday, the meeting yesterday lasted 2 hours. There's this agenda that has all these different items on it. He was agenda item number 8. Phew. So, oops, dropped a pencil. I have to go get it. It's the red one. So today, I took a very rare afternoon nap. After all the excitement, I am hardly putting any pressure at all. And look how far away my fingers are. If you haven't used that trick and you find you are heavy-handed, practice moving your hand back. It will feel awkward, but you will eventually appreciate it. It's just a really easy way to get your hand to be light, especially if you're heavy-handed. It was so nice to have my mom come with me to the vet. Hub didn't want to come. I just really wanted somebody to entertain him so he didn't have to be closed up in the carrier while I drove. Not yet. I'm trying to keep his world very non-stressful. As non-stressful as we can possibly make it. change the angle of things here. Oh, and look at how waxy. Look at that. Look at that. I just saw it through the... That is the wax. These are super duper waxy. So if you like the shiny finish of a wax pencil, and you can, and I have actually used a paper towel, you can get these weird little pencil marks with a waxy pencil set. And so I just smooth it off with a piece of paper towel. All right, we have to be done. I'm taking way too long. I love these pencils. So before I even get any further, I'm going to say these are probably going to be the winners. Okay, next, Pablos. These are a professional pencil. They are, for the most part, the word I picked for these is a very unique word, powdery. And that's when I was using them on the copy paper. We will see if that is still the word that comes to mind. Let's get our colors identified. Oh, no, we need to focus. There we go. Scarlet 70, yellow 10, yellow green 230, spruce green 239, and dark green 229. So far you've seen, we've done a purple. We've done this Honeycrisp red apple. Part of why I picked that color of apple, I have to move this down, is because right below it are strawberries. All right, we are running short on time, so let's see how quickly we can whip this out. So on the copy paper, these felt a little bit on the powdery side, sort of a dry, silky. Yes, silky, but on the dry side of silky. If I could replicate the shine on a strawberry, I would. We'll see if I can kind of do that a little bit. I don't plan on using gel pens or anything because a gel pen would be the sure cheat to have the shine. These are typically black seeds, and I only had 5 pencils, so I did not pick black. And these are a little bit on the noisier side because they aren't a really moist, waxy, super soft pencil. Color goes down very nicely. So I'm purposely leaving the center of each of these strawberries with quite a bit of white. I don't have, on any of these, I don't really have shadow colors. So that is our closest we're going to get. We have some little fantasy flower 5-petal strawberry flowers, so I am using yellow. It was my kind of fun color. I try to pick like a fun, unique color whenever I can. And now we've got, this isn't a super dark green. I toyed with digging out a darker green, and I thought, no, I'm just not going to overthink this. This is supposed to be fast, uncomplicated. Use what's the first thing I've grabbed. So I kept it. I'm using the little dashed lines as a guide. Okay, we're at 30 minutes. We have 15 minutes left. I think we're doing okay. This is the middle green. So one of the things about where I live is that it's like a self-contained kind of a city unto itself. The only thing it really is missing, in my opinion, is a corner store with, you know, some basic snacks. I guess we used to have a store like that here years ago. It used to have a cash machine, a little banking kiosk deal as well, and that's no longer here. Even back in the day, I guess there was fuel. You could get gas here. No more, though. So today I went out of the park 3 times in one day. I can go a month without going anywhere. Out, you know, just driving around in the golf cart and biking and walking. So I think today was a record. And it's part of why I was so tired from between yesterday. Lucky did get up at 6 o'clock this morning. He was an early riser. I would prefer him to get up around 7. I can handle 7. 6 was a little bit early. Okay, so we have to quickly finish this lovely strawberry off. So many of my drawings I do take my time that this is good practice for me. I'm doing a little burnishing with the light color. I'm getting rid of some of that tooth in the greens. All right, there we go. Moving on. We are gonna slide over and down. I really like how that lemon came out. Next set, we have Arteza. So these are typically known to be a good replacement for Prismacolors. They're Prismacolor-esque. I got mine used from eBay because they are not cheap, and they're a 72 set. All right, we've got Purple Iris 87, Pear 100, Matcha 6, Basil 93, and Forest Green 41. And we are doing grapes, and I asked Hub red, green, or purple grapes. He says not red, make them purple and green. So my goal, because he had to challenge me, of course, as he always does, the tip of the green is chipped off, so I will sharpen it. I'm going to do a similar coloring technique to what I did with the blackberries with coloring in circles. I'm going to do very faint. The term that I used for these is just the word soft, because they are overall a soft pencil, though not very soft like Evazar is. All right, so this is the base. This is the start of these. Now I'm grabbing my Purple Iris, and I need to get a little purple hue. Grapes come in so many colors. When I was a kid, all that we ever had in our house that I even remembered was green grapes. We lived in the Pacific Northwest, and that was all that we ever had. And if there were other options, my mom just never bought them. Nowadays, you stare at every color under the sun trying to decide what you want to try. I rotate. This is a pointy tip, and I am going to use that pointy tip to get some of this dark color in to be my shadow, because I don't really have very many colors, and it gets to act as the main color and the shadow color. It's a fun challenge. I am the person that loves to have a blending combo of at least 5 colors, so having one color get to be the light, medium, and the dark is definitely a challenge for me. We have all these little dots. They are my hint that that those areas are to be shaded. And now I'm going into all of the behind grapes, darkening them. There's my husband's request for green and purple grapes. Now I'm softening. I'm just going through and adding a little more soft purple, softening my lines, and then I'm going to be done. Okay, then we have this beautiful leaf, and I love this leaf, and I want it to have more colors because it's so nice, and I happen to have 3 colors of green. So this is me taking the grape green color, and I want to stop myself from doing what I just did because I don't have the time. All right, putting the 3 greens in my hand, light, medium, and dark, starting with the dark. And it's not even a very dark. I noticed that the 72 set does not have the best dark. It's like it doesn't have a very good selection of various greens. It has certain greens in medium, certain greens in the dark, and then certain lights. Like I really like the light green that is called pear. These are very hard to find in the 120 set, and if you do get the 120 set, I think you pretty much have to buy from the manufacturer, and they're not well priced, in my opinion. I have not checked lately, so if you find that not to be true, go ahead and post and let me know. I haven't looked lately. Yep, so these are soft. There's a lot of tooth. I don't know if I'm going to have the time to work through the tooth completely because I really want to move on. I spent too much time with the apple. That put me at a time deficit right from the get-go. So this is the lightest green. am going to use it to do some burnishing, leaving some light areas. And then we've got that fun pear color that I'm going to come in and do even more burnishing with it. Yeah, this is a really nice image. All right, moving on. Came out lovely. Okay. The last set of pencils is the Artisto. These are, they have done really well on some of the YouTube review videos that I've seen. And so they did really good on like it's a rating of the Amazon under $30 sets, the smaller sets. I think it was Coloring Bliss who did it, and I bought them. Scarlet Red, 301. Misty Rose, 357. Bumblebee Yellow, 315. Basil Green, A, 322. Pistachio Green, 319. We have 4 minutes left. And I do not know what this image is of that we are going to color. I am going to reveal it now. I have to pull this down and rotate it. I don't know what that is. All right, so I had an alarm go off. I have 4 minutes left. I don't know what this image is. If you guys know what this is, you let me know. The yellow is just like a helper color, kind of an oddball. It's the center, but I'm also going to use it to help color this creature somewhat of a tomato color. This is the base that I'm putting down. I find the word that I use, what did I use? I used the word soft for these as well. I also feel they are not quite as pigmented as other sets in this grouping of 5. And this is the Scarlet. I want these to have this to be a shiny like a tomato surface. So I'm trying to be very loose, scrumbly, even coating is my goal. For comparison, they feel very color-like. I am making up the colors for this as we go. Yellow. Oh, I have pink. So these flowers are going to be white and pink. And then I'm also going to use this pink to help burnish and smooth out the color of the scarlet. See that? How it smooshes? This is a smoosher. Evazar is also a nice, you can smoosh it. Yeah, don't know what that is. I'll be curious to know if anybody has a guess. I'm going over the lines. I'm getting a little sloppy. I did Google Lens for this, and because of the stitching, it told me embroidered lemon. So those segments made Google Lens think it was a lemon, and then the stitching element around in the circle made the Google Lens think it was an embroidered lemon. Not very accurate. All right, that's all we're going to do on that. And then I have 2 greens, a light and a medium. There was no good dark green with this 72 set. The greens, because there are so many green tones, I find that most typically greens are lacking. And we are just about done. And only 5 more to go. You guys probably couldn't see most of that. I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying this fun little page where I'm doing lots of different sets. It's more work, but it is fun to me too. All right, so I'm a little bit over for time. I went over with the red here, but it actually is ending up making it look like a shadow on the leaf. If I had all the time in the world, I would be erasing that in a heartbeat. And the only thing left to do here is to grab the pink . So tomorrow will be the last row. I'm going to check the post and see what you guys have said and get a tally for what pencil set we're going to do. I've seen like some polychromos is probably what I've seen the most. Still trying to get this to be smooth. Polychromos, Brute Funer, Black Widow. Somebody said Prismacolor because they like to color along and they don't like to have to color match. So they just want to go right to the Prismas. So that's very fair. All right, so there it is. Whatever fruit that is, it is done. And tomorrow we will do the 3rd row. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you will join me tomorrow. Do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, consider subscribing, and we will see you then.